Hey.
The Chevmeister.
How are you?
I have to be honest with you. I've been looking forward to this, as I always do. You and I having our little chitter chats. I've got to be honest with Chevmeister. I'm feeling a little bit tidy pops. I 8 of these yesterday, 2 this morning, and I need you.
No pressure.
Change us around.
No pressure. No pressure. What are you doing to manage your mental health over the last 24 hours?
Well, I had 2 glasses of white wine last night.
I knew it. I literally
spoken as a true well-being professional.
Do it. Whatever works for you.
I took myself off to bed at 9 p.m. last night, and there are actually 2 major things that I am doing. Fortunately, and you will know this as a fellow dog owner, having the doglet. Every time that one of these finishes, I go and trot round the park with her. Although I went round just now, and in Bermondsey, it's a massive dog community. Sorry, going massively off subject here.
Right.
Massive dog community, and they were like, "Oh, Kate, are you going out?" I literally walking around like this, looking like a woman of the night.
Yeah, boy.
Not a good look.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
I am ready to go.
I'm ready to mingle.
Say something. Say something. What are you going to do with your day? Go and have a cappuccino. Go and have a latte. Go and have a croissant. Whatever. I'm off out.
Yeah, you won't be looking like you won't be wearing this much eye makeup, will you?
Lord.
That's for sure. Or have this.
Amazing.
Anyway, so that was that. And then also what I'm doing, the other side of it is listening either to a lot of Lady Gaga or Horse Meat Disco.
Music.
Well being nailed.
Smashed it. Well, thank you for having me.
Well, listen, let me do a lovely introduction to one of my favorite people in the world, the wonderful Chevmeister, as I like to call him, or as he is known more commonly, Chevy Ruff. So a very brief introduction, and then I'm going to leave it to him to talk more about this stuff. And he's also the man that when it comes to energy and looking after our minds, that very few people know much more than him. So I will be I'll be asking for a lot of his tips. Chevy, after turning his life around from depression, drink and drugs, found a skill set supporting others to find their career paths. His purpose is focused on human performance and mindfulness and how to approach training mindfully whilst making holistic changes to keep moving, including life and career goals. I mean, that is a very short sum up for what I know is a lot of detail. Chevmeister, would you tell us in a little bit more detail about what was going on? I want to hear a little bit more about what happened in the first place, to kind of when I know that you did have the breakdown, and then obviously kind of what happened after that with rebuilding.
Which breakdown?
Yeah.
which one? There's I think there's 2.
Let's go with the first one.
Well, the first one. Maybe let's link it to the second one very, very quickly. So I'm 39. I'm about to turn 40 next year, and I suppose I start my story 25 years ago, like a lot of us, had highs and lows as a kid, never really fitted in anywhere, stumbled into the square mile at the age of 18. I didn't really kind of work out at school, as it were, much to my mum's dismay. Bumbled my way into the square mile, and this is when they were giving, I think I've cracked this joke with you before, but this was never giving anyone a job, like literally anyone a job in financial services.
I think that's when I got into media at a similar time, actually. I've got to be honest with you.
Just flagging your way, right? Like, I don't know. I'm here. Cool. Well, yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
You want to hire me?
Not a chance now. Yeah. Not a chance.
Yeah. I would not have a hope in hell. So I went in and I started working like around trading desks and so forth. But I was a lost young man going in already. Like, I really didn't have any strong male role models kind of growing up, never fitted in with the boys around in the playground. So I stumbled into the city just needing men's love, like strong abandonment issues from my old man. And I never really fitted in like with boys, it was I never played football, never supported football teams. It was I was never good at rugby or cricket or this, that, the other. I was just always this awkward little soul called Chevy Ruff. And I rolled into the square mile and obviously surrounded by a load of barrow boys, traders and so forth. And it was kind of, hey, like, come on down the pub. Yeah, sure. No worries at all. And do you want a drink? And I was like, nah. I'm good. And they went, well, if you want to survive, there's a pint of Stella, learn to love it. So I'm like, don't want to say no because I need you to love me, accept me. I don't want to say no. And I don't know how to say no. So just started, you know, this was like, you know, Stella, double vodka Red Bulls at lunch. And what I found is that the alcohol gave me superhero powers. It gave me an identity. It gave me confidence. It gave me ego. It gave me attitude. It gave me my place amongst the pack of the boys.
Yes.
They could always count on me to go on a night out. And it's well documented. I mean, we talked about it before, but, you know, alcohol led very quickly to cocaine. And kind of what followed was a decade of very, very serious drug abuse that just got very, very out of hand as I kind of started to hit towards 30. And I wouldn't say it was I wouldn't say that was a breakdown. I had definitely had a breakdown a few years ago. I would say at that point, 10 years ago, it was more just a realization that if I continue on this path, I am going, something bad is going to happen. Like this isn't for fun anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not banging some gear away and drinking for shits and giggles. I'm going home away and locking myself behind closed doors for 3-4 days at a time, and then living in this dark hole for the other amount of time. So I just said, right, let's make change. And
thank God you had that awareness then, right? Thank God you did that, and you had that moment of clarity.
It was, you know. And I want to say it was a moment, and I think that upon reflection, what was beautiful about my 20s is there was this one little. I always talk about like Glennon Doyle talks about it in Untamed in her book. She talks about knowing. You know, we have this, and I talk about this inside view. Like we have this voice inside us. Some people call it God, right? Like whatever it may be. I call it our subconscious, just kind of looking out for us and just talking to us all the time. And I had this kind of voice in me all throughout my 20s saying, you're meant to be doing something more with your life. There is more of a purpose for you. You don't believe it, but I do. Whether that
was that even back then? Was that even back in your 20s? Because I hear you on that, but mine did not come in until my 30s, without a shadow of a doubt. 20s, I was still out there, like, you know, smashing it up with the rest of them, and not even in that zone.
I will say it's probably the one bit of light that I had throughout. And I can't even, like, I knew nothing about mental health back then. I knew nothing about well-being. I knew nothing about religion or spirituality, or I just knew nothing. But the one thing I did know was this little voice inside me, and that kept me going. And that just became, you know, my North Star, as it were. And that's always been with me.
Was that the thing then, that in the darkest of moment, do you think it was that was the thing that pulled you out of it?
Yeah. And if I really, it was just that. And I wish I could sit here and give a magical art. Yeah. It was just, it was just this constant, this feeling, even at my lowest of points, that there is something more out there for you. There is a purpose out there for you.
Okay.
And you get out of bed today, or if not, get out of bed, if you just survive today and keep going, you'll figure out what that is.
Do you need at that point to know what it is? You don't, do you?
No.
Right? Okay. No. So we agree on that. We don't need to know what it is, but then how do you start formulating that? How do you go from that? I know it needs to be different, but what the fuck is it going to be?
Okay, so and this is me talking as a coach now, not talking about how I did it, but if I actually kind of surmise how I did it, I think this is it. Yeah. So you have the known and the unknown, right? Yeah. Like the room I'm in right now is the known. On the other side of a door in front of me is the unknown.
Yeah.
And within that is darkness and scariness and uncertainty and all these unknown emotions and fear and whatever it may be. It's a scary old place. We don't want to go through it. We don't want to go through that door. We want to stay where we are right now. We want to stay, I want to stay drinking. I want to stay in the pub. I want to stay doing drugs. I want to stay because this is just safer for me. I know this environment.
Yeah.
And I think when I look at what I do now with people, and even with myself, when I explore the unknown, we start to think about this balance, right? Like, what is balance? Well, balance to me is keeping one foot grounded in the known and one foot in the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And what you're staying grounded in is the lifestyle choices, the people, the health choices, the walks, the breath, the meditation, the sharing your feelings with friends, the gratitude journals, the well-being tools.
Yeah.
That's what you're keeping your foot grounded in. And I think that's what it was. Does that make sense? That's what I think is yeah, blah.
Okay, no, because I'm thinking when you're saying, so you're saying that in order to move forward, in order to grow, and I really get this, right? And actually, I've been talking a lot about this, about the whole thing with COVID, right, and pandemic. You know, the point is that in order we're getting to this, but I believe for many people, it's been a real period of growth. As uncomfortable as it's been a real period of growth because we've gone into that space of discomfort, right? We've gone into that space of unknown, and therefore we shift forward. But I want to understand a little bit more. What if in that instant, you know, you're talking there, you know, the stuff that is the known. What if the known is the bit that's causing us the pain, and that's the bit that we've got to change? Like the well-being, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's the stuff that you've got to lean into then, right? Like that is the unknown. You've got to move through those emotions. You've got to move through whatever those challenges are. And so while you're moving through those challenges that you know are there, that's still the unknown. Does that make sense? Like that's still, you've still got to move through them. For me, it's keeping your foot grounded in what I mean by the known is keeping your foot grounded in the lifestyle choices, the things that keep you grounded in life, the things that keep you not flipping your lid, not keeping your body in a high state of stress, keep you accessing the prefrontal cortex, the higher mind, so you can make good strategic decisions, so you can think creatively about your life. Like it's what's keeping you grounded while you explore the things that scare you.
Keeping you good, right? So there has to be, I guess, some kind of audit up front of this is the stuff that's doing that for me, right?
Absolutely.
And okay. So if someone does that, then do they need to choose 5 things? How does that work? Is it right? These are 5 things that whatever happens, this bit I need here in order to be able to let me go forward and get into a more uncomfortable space. How do you do that? How do you work out what are your grounders?
So my big mission at the moment is I've spent this year, as you guys know, trying to refigure out what my message is and what my brand is and what my products and services is. And I keep coming to these 3 words, well-being made simple. Yeah. Like we are living in a world where so many people are feeling burnt out. There's so many people are feeling stressed. So many people feeling challenged by what lays ahead. And we're only at the beginning of this journey. Like we haven't even started, I don't think, of what's going to happen over the next couple of years, few years.
No, I don't disagree.
And so for me, we have to keep things simple. So I'm not interested in 5 things today. I'm interested in 1 thing. You know what I mean? Like it's where are you know, and this all comes down to where you are. But we all know like the ability to form more than 1 habit at a time is near on impossible. The odds dramatically reduce. So it's like, you know, I'm like, cool, you just sit there for 2 seconds. And what I want you to do is sit there without any distraction at all. And yeah, I want you to take a few damn breaths. You don't have to get into your head. You don't have to get all zen. You don't have to light a few candles. And I just want you to help the system just calm down a little bit, because physiology is psychology, right? So let's just bring yourself down a couple of notches. Let's accept all the thoughts that are going on. And then I just want you, after a couple of minutes, to ask yourself 1 question. What's the 1 thing that you could do today to improve your energy tomorrow? What's the 1 thing? What's the 1 thing that you know that you need to do today? And I promise you, you will sit there and go, I need to get to bed early. Or you'll sit there and go, I probably need to go and not do as much work. Or I need to just go for a walk. Or, you know, it's like we know. We know.
That's brilliant. I love that. And do you know what I love as well? Weirdly, today has turned into, without planning it, without knowing it, every single person that I've spoken to, of which of course you're the 3rd, everyone has talked about the physiology, as you put it, physiology is psychology. Everyone has talked about the impact, the body and mind together. And I like that term, that physiology is psychology, you know, and I don't think we fucking realize that enough.
No, we don't. And I'm pretty sure within the next 20 years, we'll be talking about psychology as physiology. Like the 2 will continue to work together. Like, oh, I'm really stressed. I want to cuddle from my mum. Well, why is that? That's because your body's released a little bit more oxytocin, the love hormone, right? It's not just pumping adrenaline and cortisol. That's a hormone designed to bring you closer to your tribe. Hold on. So I'm feeling I want to cuddle from my mum. I'm thinking about that. Yeah, physiology is psychology. If I asked you to exhale all your breath out of your system right now, if you're an A-type, let all the system out of your air, all the air out of your system, and hold your breath with no air in your system and run on the spot as long as possible, I guarantee you would start to feel some fear and panic because like, I've got no air and I've got no that. Well, what's going on? Well, I've just messed with your physiology and that's caused panic and fear. We know that when people have panic attacks, their respiratory rate changes first before they feel fear or emotion.
Yes.
It's what we've got to understand, like how we connect into our brain. Stress rises. It's all connected. It is.
Do you know? You know what? I mean, I weirdly, I've been doing personally. I've been really feeling this a lot recently. That whole thing about how much we feel anxiety, how much we feel it, it is a feeling. Let's be really fucking clear on that, right? It's not just something up here. It goes throughout our whole body.
We are, Kate, this is the beauty, right? We are all looking for honest, truthful, loving relationships in our life.
Yeah.
Right? We all just want honesty. We want clarity. We want transparency. That is what we seek from those we work with, from those we love.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The most honest, transparent, authentic relationship you have is with your body.
And the one we pay least attention to.
Yes, your body will tell you everything that you need in any given moment. Right? True. Tightness in my chest, my heart's pumping fast, something's triggered you. Cool. So your body's trying to provide you with energy and focus to tackle the challenge in front of you. Amazing. Thank you, body. Thank you. I'm tired. I can't focus. My work's getting thingy. Like I just feel so lethargic. Cool. Your body is trying to tell you something. I'm not motivated to go to the gym, but I really want to go to the gym. Your body is trying to tell you something.
So there's something crucial here, isn't there, about the listening to our body every single time. Well, okay. So look, in that instance, then, what do you do upon that? Okay, and I know that you are an incredible person for talking to about this. I want to go back to your journey after that, but I want to talk. Whilst we're in this at the moment, I really want to dig into this. Anxiety at the moment, I think, is a fucking big thing. I think we've gone from a place of being really high stress, from overwhelmed, doing too much, never feeling like we're quite doing enough, to sitting in here so much more because we've lost all of our distractions. World's become a lot more 2D. We're literally not getting stimulated by stuff. And I'm in my head and it's blowing up and I don't know how to deal with it. When that happens, when that anxiety is rising, when I can feel it coming up and it's out of control, can you tell me a great tool for managing that, please?
So firstly, I think that the great tool, so methods are many, principles are few, right? So there are so many different methods to changing the way that we feel, right? Different kind of breathing protocols, different types of meditation, going for walks. Some people do well with exercise. Some people there's just so many different methods out there. And that's the problem. We're all trying to search for the one method, right? But hey, everyone's talking about box breathing. I'm like, cool. Yeah. Well, ask a CEO who's just lost $1 million deal to sit there and do some box breathing and they'll tell you to get lost. Ask a 4-year-old to sit there and do some box breathing while they're screaming at you. They'll tell you to F off. Tell someone with high anxiety. Tell someone with high anxiety to inhale, hold their breath, exhale, hold their breath. They'll tell you to F off.
I've got to be honest. I'm like, what fucking box?
Yeah, right? Like, this is fucking ridiculous. But we're all looking for... We're all, I'm in the box. Get me out of this damn box. Stop trying to put me in the box. But I think we got to, this is the thing. So we're all trying to look for these methods, right? And that's this, this, right? It's like, what are the tools? This, you speak to clients and like, we just want takeaways. People want takeaways. They want methods. They want methods. They want methods. They want methods. Okay, cool. We'll give you some methods, but let's understand the principles. The principle why you're feeling anxiety on a basic physiological level is just because your nervous system is a little bit shot from one way or the other, right? You're either kind of high, fight, flight, or freeze. Or you've gone into a state of dysregulation at the bottom and you just can't move and you're depression and you're super parasympathetic. It's this nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, rest and recovery, right? Like it's this dial that goes from one end to another. So it's first of all just being aware that when you're feeling super anxious, it's because your nervous system is kind of off, right? Like there's something, it needs to find some kind of regulation. How you regulate. Go on.
One sec, because I just want to highlight that point because I think that's really important that people know that it is a physical thing. You're not going mad. It's a physical thing, right? Can you just touch on that quickly?
Well, it is. It's physiology. You know, we talk about this, right? We've got the brain here, right? And we've got the monkey part of the brain. We've got the cheese. So we've got the lizard. We've got the cheese. And these are like kind of responsible for, got the brain stem, the limbic part of the brain. And they're all the things that are responsible for fight, flight, or freeze, like seeking out rewards, dopamine, and so forth. So you've got these two items here, right? And then looking after the lizard and looking after the mouse brain is the prefrontal cortex, the higher mind, right?
Yeah,
all these automatic behaviors keeps the rest of the brain under control. Now, what happens is as we start to hit our window of tolerance in a day, as stress starts to rise, we start to flip our lid. We start to lose access to the higher mind, the prefrontal cortex, and then the kind of mouse and the lizard start to take over. Right? And that's where like anxiety starts to happen. It's where all these behaviors, all these bad habits start to occur. Just all these automatic things are starting to go on where we just feel like we're not in control. Okay, so how do we get control back? Well, we've got to mess with our physiology. We've got to help shift our system down some gears. So then we start to get access to that prefrontal cortex again, that higher mind again. Right? That's the physiology. Like I can show you videos of our breath, us taking breaths and our brain matching the breath at the same time, right? The two are connected. So now you understand that. It's like, well, hold on. Instead of me being reactive right now and me blaming myself and being angry with my boss or angry with my colleagues because I flipped my lid and I can't handle any more stress, why don't I just stop, be aware. Right, hold on. I'm aware. I flipped my lid, right? I am not in control anymore. Why don't I, instead of being reactive, why don't I just go for a quick walk around the block? Why don't I just take 5 breaths in and out through my nose and mouth?
Yeah.
And why don't I return back to the situation once my system has come down a little bit?
Right. That's okay.
You know, again, well-being made simple, right? Like just being, you've got to, the practice is being aware that you flipped your lid. It's just knowing. You know, it's like that takes work. But once you're aware that you're in this higher state of arousal where you're just like, oh, or anxiety's there, it's like, oh, hold on. Maybe I should put my phone down. Maybe I should step away from my desk. Maybe I should just go for a walk. Maybe I should just take some breaths. Maybe I should call my mum. Maybe I should get a cuddle off my loved one.
Yeah. And do you know what's really interesting about this? And I don't know if you saw the previous interview with someone who I absolutely love, a coach called Paul Mort. And I mean, as straight talking as you are, and you know, he talks a lot about us stopping being the victim, being in control of our life. The fact that we are in control of our lives, we choose what we put in it, right? Or the proximity that we have to stuff. And I think what we're saying here, you know, what I'm really taking from this is, look, those bits are going to keep coming. How we react, or I think actually we're taking this on to a place of how we respond, right, in these situations is a bit that we can choose.
Stress isn't going anywhere. Why would you want it to as well? Stress is a fundamental part of life and adaptation as human beings. The reason I'm a better husband is because of the stress of the relationships that came over the last decade, 2 decades, and how bad they were. The reason I'm better at presenting and talking about this stuff is because of all the crap. How many times I messaged like you guys going, I don't think I did well at that, you know, webinar, and then the feedback comes back.
You thought you fucked something up, and everyone was like, that was the best talk ever.
And that's stress, because it's stress to me. It's like, I want to do a good job. I want to do great. I feel like I'm being judged. I feel like my work's not great enough. I feel like I'm not helping people. But the reason I get better and my confidence grows and my ability grows is because of the stress of all those workshops that I've done. I'm a public speaker. I like rooms. I don't like being online with webinars. The reason I'm getting better at this is because of the stress of the last 7 months of having to do it. The reason you can be a better project manager, the better you're a client services director, the better you're a CEO, is not because of the books you've read, even though they've helped at times, cool, but it's because of the stressful situations that you've been through that's earned you your stripes. Stress is a great thing. We need stress. But we have to realize that we have a choice in how we respond to it. We can either see it as a threat and avoid it. We can see it as a challenge.
That's interesting. That's, you know, Paul was just saying just now, and a guy called Seb Fukin was saying yesterday, Paul was like, life is just full of challenges, right? And Seb was just like, and Seb's a free runner, the founder of free running. And he was just like, the day that I realized that life was full of obstacles, life got a shitload easier. He was like, it's basically, life is a little bit like a game of Tetris. the shit's going to keep falling down, and you've got to work out what to do with it. And that just meant all of a sudden, again, for me, you know, as much as knowing that this stuff is physiology, it's also, I know it's just going to keep coming. And that actually really calms me. It's not me doing something wrong. It's just life has got that stuff going on in it.
Well, so we know that, and it's great what you said about the obstacle. There's a great quote. I can't remember what it is, but the obstacle is the way. Some big stoicism quote or whatever it is. And I always love that. The obstacle is the way. We're gonna take that one still. But you know, actually, but when you, so we can look at the research behind this, right? When you actually reframe something as a challenge as opposed to a stress.
Yeah. So you
right?
see it in a different way.
You still get the same physiological benefits of being in a higher state of arousal to complete the challenge, but you get less of the risk that's involved. So when you actually tell yourself something is a challenge as opposed to something, this is something stress I want to avoid, your valves, your capillaries start to open up and let blood flow back through to the extremities. Your physiology changes by you shifting your mindset.
Yeah. Have you seen the work of Dr. Kelly McGonigal? I'm sure.
Yeah. So this is absolutely, yeah. So you know, and that's one of the first books that I get people to read is The Upside of Stress, because I think she that's as much information as you need to know. You don't need to know anymore. She's very good at just kind of pinning it all down, giving you some tasks, giving you some actionable takeaways. And it's a fantastic book with great bits of research in there.
Chebs, I've got two questions I want to ask you. They're big questions. First one, and I suppose I want to relate it back a bit to your journey and what you and how you've overcome stuff. I feel pretty confident that you'll be in agreement with me that our minds are the greatest challenge that any one of us faces, and how it can get in our way. How do you overcome some of the things that come up in your mind? How do you, if your mind getting in the way of you achieving your goals, give us one tool of managing that, of overcoming that thinking?
Be okay with not being okay. Just be aware that you're not okay and just accept it.
Yeah.
You know,
brilliant.
like and sit with and sit with it. You know, sometimes you might have to sit with it for a while. I've been sitting with it for I've been sitting with it for a few months on and off now. I'm questioning everything that I'm doing in life and my decisions. And some days I'm Googling bloody getting a job with someone else. Like, I'm just like, is this what I want to be doing where I am? Like, I'm questioning my shit consistently at the moment. And I have been. About
this sounds like, you know, the last few months have been different, right? The last few, like, if you don't mind talking about it, I know a bit of assumptions I'm kind of making. Like, the last few months you've been versus where you were a year ago, and you're like, yeah, we're doing this, and it's going, and like I know there's been a different feeling around you over the last few months.
I just, you know, this isn't, you know, and again, so we can like selfishly, I'm allowed to be selfish. We're human beings. I'm allowed to say this. I'm just going to be honest and direct with anyone that's watching it. Like, I'm just like, this isn't fair. I don't want to be doing this. This isn't the job that I wanted to build. This isn't the life that I built. You know, 2 years ago, I'm traveling the world. I'm doing talks. I'm in front of people. I'm public speaking. You know, I wanted to be out there.
Everything you wanted.
I built the life, and I got there. I got from drug addict to there within 5 years, you know, and it was like, for me, it was like, that's the life that I built. And then I've spent the last 18 months rebuilding my business from the ground up, because I wanted to just a lot of changes. So, you know, COVID caught me in the middle of that. And I thought I was sussing it out. I had to go back into this big dark hole of refiguring out how to build a business for the long term. And hey, FYI, finances are really flipping bad right now, you know, and that's okay. I can deal with that. I've got a wonderful wife, and my ego isn't taking over, and that's okay. And when you've been a drug addict for whatever, a decade, you're like, that's not a problem. I've been there before. Don't worry at all. So I've had all these things thrown at me, and I'm like, you know, do I want to be the boss of my business? I'm sure you've asked this question at times that we all do, who's self-employed, right? Do I want to be the boss? Do I want to be responsible for P&L? Do I want to be responsible for marketing? Do I want to be responsible for sales? Or do I just want to be working in an environment and working for a charity and working with ex-offenders coming out and helping them, coach them through change? You know, I'm trying to sell my woes to companies and organizations and people who can afford my services, but people don't see half of what I do is give back, and I do it for free. Well, and I love that. Why don't I just do that more? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're having all these existential questions and where do I want to be and what do I want to do? And at days that has stopped me in my tracks from rebuilding my website, rebuilding my workshops, putting energy into stuff. And I've just, you know, turned my computer off at times and gone, I don't want to do this anymore. So
what keeps bringing you back?
Purpose. You know, like well, there's a couple of things. There's a couple of things that bring me back. Is I've put so much, I think I know where I want to be, and I know what I love, and I've spent so much energy in the last 18 months getting my business to where it is. I think I'm only a step away from it kind of getting back some rewards now. You know, I've been down this U-bend of change. You know, you're in this kind of, you can't see the way, and you just got to keep trusting every day that you're moving in the right direction. And I really think I'm not far from a lot of things clicking. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it there, and I feel like I just need to put this last bit of effort, this last bit of push in. It's like mile 23 or 24 of a marathon. You just got to kind of go.
I feel like maybe it's the last test. Do you know what I mean? How much do you really fucking want this?
Yeah.
You know, how much do you really want this? And actually, if you do, it's so close, like you said, it's so close. And this is the last test to prove to you that you really want it. And I walk away, but you could. A friend of mine, she's fucking brilliant. I don't know whether or not she's watching at the moment. I know that she said she was going to chip in for some of them. She's got her own company, a law company. She's a lawyer, obviously, and she and I've talked a lot throughout COVID, and she's like, I'm all in. She's like, fuck it, I'm all in. If it goes to shit, it goes to shit, but I'm all in. And I just love that, because I am someone, I'm play it safe, right? I mean, wrong. I am ambitious, and I'm driven, and I'm going to do all of that stuff, but I get triggered. And she's just like, no, I'm all in. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and I'll make that work as well. And that's true. We have to believe that. And I think, and from what I know of you, Chev, I think that actually, if you didn't do it, you'd spend a lifetime beating yourself up about it.
Yeah. And I know that, and I think I know that, and I know what my purpose is. I know what fulfills me. I know, you know, I've learned a lot I've just learned a lot, and I'm kind of like, I think I'm there, you know, I think I can get there. I've just got to, but that's what I'm saying. Like, so all I'm doing daily is being okay with not being okay on the days that I'm not okay. You know, it's just like, I feel my way through every day, and I don't put guilty on myself. You know, I have a perfect morning routine. Well, some mornings I get up and I just lie in bed for an extra hour, because I feel like, you know what, I kind of need that right now.
Right. And because you're good enough to listen to your body when you do need that stuff. I have one more thing to ask. And I think that this is going to be a bit of a big one. How do you manage the impact of others on your mental health? I thought it might be quite big. You're like, boom.
I choose who's in my circle.
Right.
You know, I kind
of and the attention you give to stuff, right?
Yeah. And I think that's something that I've massively learned over what I've learned from, you know, so you got to look at one of my fundamental deep-rooted problems is that I want to be accepted. I want to be loved and revered, and my ego wants to be told that you're the well-being guy and you're a great guy. Like, I've got all these things, right? The elephant in the brain, as the book is a fantastic book. It talks about this like selfless and selfish reasons why we do things, and egos, and living that. I'm like, look, I want to be accepted. So for me, with people, it's always been a challenge from the moment I was in the pub 20 years ago on the trading floor saying yes to drink and drugs. Through to social media. Like, I want people to like me. I want people to accept me. And what I've realized over the last 5 years of working on this is that it's not about quantity, it's about quality, right? Like, I don't need all this love from everyone. I just need to look at the 3, 4, 5 important people in my life and make sure the quality of those relationships are as high as possible, that I am able to actively listen with these human beings. I'm able to some days give them more energy than they're able to give. You know, it's just this, energy is not about giving 50-50. You know, some days my wife needs me to give 90 when she's only got 10 in the tank.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and then other days it's the other way around. Like, you flip that around. So for me, you know, looking at my 2 or 3 close mates, boy mates as well, because that's a big thing for me, and nurturing those relationships. So then I kind of, I look at that, and I protect those relationships, and I keep things close to home. And then if there's other people in my world who are affecting my mental health, I think there's a few different things, because actually as a coach, you know, if your coachees are affecting your mental health, that's because maybe how are you protecting your energy? You're not looking after it. Are you giving too much? You know, are you in a state of learning right now where you're being challenged? So maybe I need a little bit more rest in my life, just because I'm processing how to manage these relationships and how to show up for people and coach them through change. But if it's like horrible people, or like, I'm like, just get out of my ecosystem. I'm like, I'm very good at like not flipping my lid quickly, because I'm better at becoming an active listener. I'm better at understanding why people have such strong viewpoints. And I just kind of, I put myself in their shoes, and I think about the unknown when people are challenging me. What can't I see? You know, I think they're annoying me. Like someone at work, I talk, you know, people at work, right? Like their boss comes in really angry and it triggers their whole day. And I'm like, well, think about what you can't see. Think about the unknown, right? Like think about, did he argue with his wife this morning, right? Is he going through a big breakup at the moment? You know, are they going through massive financial difficulties? You know what I mean? Like what
is the shit?
What can't you see? Yeah. Because and I think about also, we talk about coupling, right? Like you think about, if I met them in a different environment, would they be different? Do you know what I mean? Like if I didn't know this person in work and I'd met them down the pub, would we have got on really well? And sometimes when you meet people in certain environments, you don't get the best of them, but it doesn't mean they're not a great person. So I have these few things that I go to, but my best bit of advice is, if someone is completely draining life from you and they are really ruining your mental health, you need to take action, right? You can't sit with it.
Yeah, and again, I come back to this place of control. You know, sometimes it's not people. The people are going to be there. It's the proximity that you choose to, whether or not that you have with them. Chev, as I knew it would be, I've loved this, and it was exactly the energy giver that I needed. You know, there was so much in there, so much in there, you know, in terms of kind of managing our state, and the connection between the physiology and the psychology, I think was absolutely beautiful, and how we can get better at managing that. Because I think at the moment, you know, as you beautifully shared with your own story of what's going on at the moment, and thank you for being so honest there. You know, the point is that actually we can manage that. You know, and because it's something physical that's going on, and actually with the right tools we can manage that better. But a lot of it does come back to that control, and really kind of like stepping into it. And I genuinely mean this. Whatever you do, like the beautiful wisdom and experience that you share is an honor to be part of. So wherever that gets to, you know, you are genuinely one of the best. So I feel very blessed to have had this time with you and to work with you. You're awesome.
Thank you. And I, you know, some of those cheesy moments, but I throw it back because you guys have fundamentally, you and the team have kept me sane over the last 7 months, and you kept me also. And, you know, but, you know, and to be very, very clear, you've kept me sane, your energy's kept me sane, and you've kept food on my plate and bills paid. Right. And you've fought for me, and it's the small bits there and that have gone a long way in a month to motivate me through. So, you know, and I think we all pulled together at the beginning, and we were all like kind of, you know, and we beat.
That's the thing about now, isn't it? You know, that these, you know, in these hard times, these moments of unity are very, very special. You know, and in terms of what we choose to have in our lives, I choose to see those things. So
absolutely. Look after yourself.
Love you.
Say hello to Brandon Block for me as well. Chevy Ruff said hello. Honestly, I'll see you later.
Music now, so that'll keep me going.
You'll be good. We'll keep you going. Take care.